Go racing on Sunday, sell cars on Monday. Coolness always translates. "2020 Canadian International Autoshow. And the big question is, why would you even go anymore? You've got Google if you're researching cars, or you can go to the manufacturer's website. There's plenty of YouTube videos and TV shows, so why would you head to the International Auto Show? Well, you don't. Great example, Mercedes-Benz wasn't even at the show this year. What about Volvo? Couldn't find them either. All of these manufacturers are realizing there are other ways to reach the people who they're trying to sell to. I'm not here to talk about the future of these auto shows and where manufacturers go with them. I just want to give you a little bit of insight as to what my thoughts are and what I really wanted to see this year and how I spent my time at the show. So let's start out with Mazda. Looks are subjective to everyone and what they like in particular, but I do think, looking at the exterior and interior and features list, you're getting a lot for coin. And Mazdas really are known for their driving dynamics. I mean, no, they're not performance cars by any means, although there are some Mazda speed models and stuff like that. They really are worth a look. Heading over to the Nissan stand, it's just a full-on letdown. Sure, we all want to see the GTR, and we know Godzilla is an epic tool to begin with, but that's exactly what it is. It's getting on in age and it's showing a little bit of grays behind the ears. I'm not saying it's not fast, I'm just saying it's becoming a little bit boring, a little last year, and there's nothing else that interests. If we're talking about old, what about the 370Z that basically dates back to the 350 in terms of architecture? Nissan seems to be going after that younger generation, and look, we've got a cool car rotating on this stand with aftermarket wheels and flares. I'm going to tell you right now, Nissan, that the generation of people who's interested in this type of car are not interested in that type of look, and they can see through the hip type of stuff that you're trying to do here. Now, we're just trying to freshen the looks of certain things. Check out the exhaust tips on the GTR now. They've always been huge. But now we're adding bluish titanium accents and stuff like that. We are putting lipstick on a pig at this point because this car is actually in its 13th year. How about time to retire it, do a couple of special editions and make some more money? Let's look to the future here. Time for a refresh. Here I am going so hard on Nissan, and I mean, yeah, they've had Nismo, they've had all sorts of cool motorsport history. The thing is right across the hall, you've got Hyundai. That's up and coming. They took the M brand manager from BMW and put him to work on making a performance brand for Hyundai. Now, I only showed you just some race cars here, but everything on the stand was geared towards just one-upping Nissan. From their SUVs to their race cars to their compact cars, they just did something a little bit better. Why would you bother buying Nissan when that's what's available to you? You gotta hand it to Hyundai. The race cars that they're putting out there, build a brand, build the coolness that come back through to purchasing. Ferrari was the original purveyor. Go racing on Sunday, sell cars on Monday. Coolness always translates. Time for me to admit a dirty little secret here. I am really starting to grow with some of the American brands out there. This is a perfect example. The Dodge Charger is absolutely gorgeous. I just prefer the body style of the four-door. These Dodge supercharged motors are absolutely insane and will chomp down on so much stuff out there. The architecture is a little bit old, the interiors are a little bit dated. From a performance versus money standpoint, absolute muscle monsters. All of these cars are actually based on old Mercedes platforms, so they're really not that bad. They just need to go on a diet. I'm actually a huge fan of the Kia Telluride. If I was looking for a 7-seater family SUV right now, that would be at the top of my list. It's won countless awards, you're getting a lot for the dollar, definitely worth considering. I've said it before, they are the sister company of Hyundai anyway. Generations past knew of Hyundai as that cheap car back in the 90s that was imported and built like junk. They are now shedding that image because they've improved their quality, and there's a whole generation that doesn't remember that, so they're really starting to sell in volume. Honda is like the oak tree of the automotive industry. Every single car they have is fantastic, from the Type R to your Accords to your Odysseys to even the Ridgeline trucks. Every single Honda is good. They're not particularly great at anything, but they're not bad at anything either. They're priced in the middle, their performance is in the middle, you're getting a quality car, and they're known for quality builds. What I found interesting at the stand this year was actually Honda showing a crashed car, 64 kilometers an hour, something like that, and it was impressive to see the damage, and it just reminds you that safety truly is important. The other thing I enjoyed at the stand was the fact that they had these robots placing stickers, magnets, whatever, on a Honda Civic as well. This was programmed by fresh engineering students, only 2 months on the job. That too is quite impressive. Okay, let's get into one of the most wow stands of the show. Ford. Giant Mustang horse on the stand. Underneath rotating, the brand new Mustang Mach-E. Now, I've talked about the Mustang Mach-E here before. It is a great car. They just needed to find a different name for it. Taking the Mustang brand and starting to dilute it into this, it's unfortunate. I don't like the fact that this SUV that's electrified is called the Mustang. I think it's the sellout. You've got to hand it to the Ford marketing team because everyone, both positively and negatively, are talking about it. So that just generates the interest. And in the end, that's the point. With the interest being generated, plenty of people are going to now look into this SUV more than they would have before and realize, yeah, this is a great alternative. Maybe I should look at buying one of these. And in the end, that's probably going to be a success story. If you're a car person, there is one brand that has been up and coming, surprising everyone. And that's Toyota, a brand that was just like Honda, a staple of good cars for reasonable prices and nothing wow, has now got a whole stable of performance-oriented, driver-oriented cars. FRS, the Supra, a full racing program. There's even rumor of them bringing back the MR2. The passionate driver has now moved from Nissan and Nismo and all those driver cars over to Toyota. What only some companies realize and they fall in and out of the structure is that halo cars and performance cars bring in the brand desire towards their other lineup. Oh man, I really want my midlife crisis Supra, even though I'll never go to the track or race ever. But my minivan is part of the same brand, therefore it's awesome. As far as I'm concerned, the entire Chevrolet stand could have just been the Corvette. The only thing this car is missing is a good set of wheels. I don't know what they're doing with these stock wheels. And this is why the GTR has something to be worried about. Why would you spend almost $120,000 Canadian for a GTR when for almost half that money you can get a Corvette with similar performance? There's another big thing that people are forgetting. This is the base model Corvette. There will be Grand Sports, there will be Z06s, there'll be ZR1s. So there's a lot more to come out of the Corvette. The only reason why I passed by the Buick stand was because they were giving away free cupcakes and they printed out your face on top of them. Unfortunately, the line was too big for me to actually see my pose end up on a cupcake. It was still pretty cool. And they lured people in with free coffee as well. If we're being for realsies, I have no idea why Buick still exists in the GM portfolio. You've got Chevy and GMC covering what they want, and you've got Cadillac covering the higher end market. Doesn't make sense. Drop those resources into Cadillac. If we're talking cars, sexy, and thus Italian, we might as well talk quickly about Alfa Romeo. The Giulia in lime green from 6 Underground was there, which is pretty cool. It's a color code, it's a movie. Nothing really wowed me, nothing really new. They're sexy, they're great. Continuing on. I may have mentioned Cadillac before, and a lot of people know that I'm actually quite into them. They are modeled after the Germans, and you can't go wrong when you're trying to beat the best. It's taken Cadillac a while, but I think they're either on par or very close to, and in general, you're getting a lot more bang for buck. Plus, they're cheaper to repair. All of those cars, even if they are German, definitely have some repair bills involved. So what do we have here? The top of the line Escalade, which will always be the best SUV out there from America because bigger and better and badder is what they do. I'm not saying it's romantic or beautiful. I'm saying for sheer street presence, you can't beat an Escalade. The CT4 and CT5 sedans are also quite nice. They're the newer version of the ATS. The V badge on the back of a Cadillac is really starting to get some recognition as well because big power and performance are always a win. I'm trying not to be biased here and I'm excluding some of the lineup stands for the exotic one-off cars, but the BMW stand was probably the busiest one at the show. Yes, they had the Vision Next concept, which was like an M1 kind of futuristic vehicle, but that really wasn't getting all the attention. It was just the stand in general. My BMW of choice right now would be the M2 CS. I'm not saying I would kick a Grand Coupe or an 8 Series out of bed for eating crackers. It's just kind of the sweet spot in the lineup for me. The fact is they're getting the attention. Look at some of the colors on the stand, look at some of the options out there. Even if you don't like BMW, you respect BMW and you are very aware that it exists. The Porsche stand was simply gorgeous. Everybody wants a Porsche. Sports cars to sedans to SUVs, good quality cars, good looking cars. I want one, you want one. If I said, hey, here's a Porsche, you wouldn't be like, nah, no thanks. The Taycan, whatever. The electric sedan was on the stand, and I'm just happy that there's an alternative for the Tesla electric car out there, but I'm not sold that the Porsche is necessarily better. I think we're all just happy that there's options. The 935 track car, though, was pure perfection. From the large weave carbon fiber to just the whale tail and the speed that just screams out of the looks of that. I want that car badly. I'm not saying I wouldn't want a Land Rover because they look good and drive good and whatnot, but I don't want to own one. You know what I mean? They're just not known for that long-term type of quality. But I do want a Defender. This thing looks sick. The car that got the most attention at the show, and there were definitely lineups just to see it, the Bugatti Le Voiture Noir. Bugatti Le Voiture Noir. I tried to say it as sexy as possible, okay? So what was so cool about this car?
Money. The money.
Originally, this car sold for 11 million euros. It's based on the Chiron, which means it's got 1600 horsepower, art and style, not just the go. And for that reason, it commands an insane price tag. Next up, we've got the Genesis. I spent a little bit of time on this stand kind of perusing around because I'm interested in what they're bringing up. The whole point is to bring it to the luxury brands out there. And I'm not just talking about the Germans, I'm talking about the Japanese and Americans, absolutely everyone. It's a tough market to break into, and it's not just about the price point anymore, they really have to bring up something different. They've got a sedan out there now that has the price and luxury to match, that's competitive, but here comes this uber luxurious SUV, the GV80. The grille is ostentatious, it's chrome, it's big, it's toothy and meshy. When I really think about the substance of the Genesis brand, I'm a little bit worried. They're not wowing anyone with new tech or luxury features, and that's a problem because that's how you set yourself apart as a leading manufacturer. So it can't always just come down to we're valuable. If you ever wanted more papaya or Dayglow orange in your life, well, the McLaren stand is where to be. The Senna that they had on display really didn't suit that color in my opinion, but it was harkening back to one of the older Bruce McLaren cars displayed at the show. The royal blue to light blue fade on the 570 that was there was positively gorgeous, loved it, favorite color of the show. The 720 that was in the orange again looked okay because they've got the black accents and stuff, but maybe not necessarily my cup of tea. It almost brought a tear to my eye that the Project 8 on the Jaguar stand was hardly getting any attention. Here's this uber luxury sedan that is stupid fast and no one even knows what's going on. Ooh, it's got a big Jaguar on the side of it. No, it's a lot more than that. Such a shame. It really is a gorgeous car that's stupid quick. A car show within the car show. Yes, the Oblivion car show was advertising itself. I've got to say that the 80s and 90s were when I grew up, so I have a little bit of memory with the cars on display. Kit from Knight Rider, definitely my hero, not Hasselhoff, the car. Also, it wouldn't be the 80s or 90s without the DeLorean time machine from Back to the Future. The car show wouldn't be well-rounded unless it had a few old classic cars and race cars thrown in as well. And I mean, sure, they're all very pretty and they all have history behind them, so yeah, let's include them. For example, here's the Bruce McLaren race car that these other newer McLarens were based on. If you ask me the one car I would want most desperately at the show, probably gonna be the Porsche 911 reimagined by Singer. Fast, it looks cool, it's a driver's car, and that's why I want one. A lot of people miss out on the gorgeous details of this car, and it's a bloody shame because it really is something to behold. But then again, right next to it was the Battista. It's funny because while I was looking at the Battista, there was actually a small group of people who had no clue what it is and couldn't even pronounce the name. It is the Pininfarina Battista. It's an electric car, it's crazy fast, it's designed to be beautiful while making a noise as it cuts through the wind. That's pretty awesome. The biggest thing here is that a lot of people have no idea that Pininfarina is one of the exclusive design houses for Ferrari. Carbon fiber, purple, gold, gorgeous. Italian, Pagani, Huayra. Yep, we all want it. The problem is our wallets can't afford it. Here's a lineup of some other rare and older exotic cars. And yes, I want the blue and silver one, the Morgan Aero 8. That is a classy, good-looking car, and it has the underpinnings of an E39 M5. Interestingly, Tesla managed to squeeze their stand in and amidst all the exotics out there. Interesting play, great marketing. Tesla has attention on its stand, you could put it anywhere, but good strategy from them. Last but not least, probably one of the more interesting cars of the show was the Felino. It's Canadian, it's weird, and I really can't decide if I like it or not. I've actually been following this car for a little while because I was looking up some YouTube videos on the Mirabel circuit and happened to stumble upon them testing. The car has LS motors underneath, up and over 600 horsepower, and that is already enough to be going fast. And I'm sure given the orientation of its testing, it's going to be great driving on the track. As for the looks, I'm not sure. It's definitely an attention getter. I just can't decide if that's good or bad. The interior is neat, and I definitely like how they laid out the wood. The question is if they're going to be here in the long run or not. So that's my take on the 2020 Canadian International Auto Show. I would love to know your opinions and comments down below. Please don't forget to share and subscribe. And remember, all gas, no brakes.